You're saying, you're saying, what if they're not present? What if these women just have a natural, innate ability to possess this healing ability, to have this alchemy, this transmutable energy? What if it doesn't have anything to do with the devil and you're just trying to say that? Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. It's Wterfiji. What with the good, your favorite spiritual auntie, and how are you doing today, beautiful people? Now, today is brought to you by WitchCraft Versus the Church, and just the whole indoctrination of what we believe and perceive what witchcraft is, and just the demonization that this chalk-stained society has placed upon witches and witchcraft. Okay, so let's talk about the origins. Okay, and before we dig into the origins and kind of talk about that, dig into that subscribe, dig into that like, share, and comment. Thank you. Now, the origins kind of take place, well, not kind of, where we can see on a timeline where this conversation first started to where people started turning their noses towards witchcraft and the witches. You can find it as early as the 11th century. I want to say 1072, if I'm not mistaken, but you can find it as early as the 11th century. And this was kind of like the baby, okay? The baby conversation that was kind of had. It was still like pre-modern Western society, you know, type of tea. So it's like, we know it exists, basically. I'll say that. In the 11th century, the world was like, okay, we know it exists. And when I say the world, I mean chalk-stained society, you know, they were, yeah. So starting to have this conversation during this time, it was just a lot of accusations upon witchcraft and just a lot of irrational fear tactics, and even just a lot of persecution of people who were different. That's literally all the start of this conversation was, because in the 11th century in France, some witches was having like a good old time. You know, they was having a good party, what most parties would have, laughing, dancing, drinks, you know, whatever, a summon of energy and spirits. You know, it's a good old party. At the end, a little ecstasy on top, a little orgy. And they could not fathom the idea, like, if we really think about it, being a person in the 11th century, 1000, the year 1072, you see a group of women having fun, laughing, joy, being free, being loose, being fluid in their energy, every part of their energy. That, I know that's scary for you because you live in this is a man's world. Like, during this time, 11th century, way before women's suffrage, like, what? You're a woman? Lady, you better go up in and go make my food. You better go clean the house. What do y'all do? Get your tongue off her cat. There wasn't no conceptualizing that for these men at this time, especially during the time that they were in. So what is happening? These are very fluid women, and I use the word fluid not loosely. These are women who were very well adapted with capabilities just as much as a man, which scared them 10 times even more because you're a woman. So now that we go here, you have a lot of wits, but you're not a man. That makes you a witch. Okay, that was kind of, that bitch, I ate that. All right. That's literally how the conversation started. We can kind of move forward and kickstart it to the 13th century. Sorry, no, that's the 1300s. The 14th century, with centuries you subtract the year. So yeah, 1300s through the 1500s. So 14th century through the 16th century, this is where we have kind of like the rebellious teenage years of this whole church versus witchcraft conversation. And we have the whole crusades that was happening. Or scientific revolution, church way was the only way, and it was the gateway. Okay, so peak start, the church believed that the witches were the devil's disciples.
You know, if Jesus had disciples, I know the devil got disciples.
So it's our job to purify the land. So this is when, like, these people are going on crusades. Okay, we have to purify the land. They are running through cities. They are running through villages, trying to find these witches. Where are these witches? You look like a witch. Come on up here, let me talk to you. How do you find a witch? Well, how to find a witch, or the people who were targeted during the whole crusade era and the torture that the church was doing amongst witches, they didn't even have a clear identification on how to tell a witch who was just in like normal clothes versus a regular everyday woman. Because the targets, the people who are marginalized, were women who were spinsters, and that's just another name for an older woman without a man, a widow, a woman without a man, because how your man did. You clearly did something, witch. And really, any woman of age without a man. So if you're 25 and older, you ain't got a man, you're probably a witch. And we also have to think about it like, don't think about it as in this 21st century. Remember, we're in the 14th century, the 1300s now. And so, hell, if you remember during the Ouija board TTs Theory.
Serious ass freak fall off the top of the building that he was building for more Ouija boards that the Ouija board told him to build.
And if you don't remember, go back and watch it. Ouija board TT's Theory, Civil War started in 1861. And during this time, lifespan expectancy was under 50. So 25 and up, you're halfway done with your life, baby. Why you ain't got no man? You got to hurry up and push kids out. That's what you're here for, to push kids out. You're here to be a mother, be a wife. Come on, woman, come use your cooter. That's basically what they were saying. That's the truth. Irrational fear, that's the irrational fear part. So they have these women terrified. They're crusading and torturing and executing and beating women just because they single and ugly. They probably depressed, that poor widow. And through that irrational fear and persecution of different ways of how people think, this is what kickstarted the witch hunts. Most witch hunts happened between the 14th century and the 16th century, 1300s and the 1500s. And it didn't help the literature that was coming out during this time. Because really, women were not safe during this time, if we're going to speak on it. Even the nurses weren't safe, because you have a healing occupation that's too close to a village healer. So you a witch, you're not even safe. Women have always been targeted. And y'all are fools to sit here and still try to have this dumbass, this silly conversation about witches versus the church. But I'm going to continue. The literature that was coming out during this time, there's really like a trilogy that kind of birthed during this time to kind of help people conceptualize like which side that they were going to be on as far as like witchcraft. Okay, so already during this time, the number one book, best-selling book, we all know, overall mother, the Bible, right? But under the Bible during this time in 1486, there was a book which was basically like a how-to step-by-step torture a witch. That book was number 2 in 1486, so that's the 15th century. So in late 15th century, that book was right there with Jesus under his toe. Under Jesus' big toe was the how-to guide to torture witches, and then so followed the other two, because the Bible not part of like the trilogy. I just wanted y'all to see in reference the impact of what was going on in the tactics that were being used to control the belief and thought pattern now and attitude that we have as a society towards witches and witchcraft, what helped shape that, and the fact that in the late 15th century, that this how-to guide to torture a witch is sitting right up under Jesus, baby Jesus, born in a manger. There's an issue. But the Witch Hammer, which is the name of the book, this was 1/3 of the trilogy. The Witch Hammer, written by Heinrich Kramer, he was a German churchgoer, more European. Not a us problem, but hey. And then the second one, now I'm not really like the best. Like I've sang in Latin before and all this other stuff, but I'm not the best. So if I say it wrong, don't shoot me. Demonomium, a book on possession. Yep, what possession is and what that looks like, and just the understanding of possession, demonic possession. And then the other book, which was actually in the only book out of the trilogy to kind of defense and kind of have a voice for witches who practice and had that natural innate gift and ability. It was called De Praest Demonium. No, De Praest Demonum. Okay, by Joanne. And that was the defense for witches and understanding that what it truly is to be a witch. I mean, I didn't read the book, but like just a brief understanding of like what the book was, a defense for witches. So we have 2/3 of the trilogy combating against witchcraft, fighting witchcraft. This is nothing but the devil. And we have 1/3, 33.33% of that trilogy saying, hey, I can exist too. So through this trilogy, this is kind of how we got to the space now to where we kind of link witchcraft and demons because of the literature that was prevalent during this time. Witchcraft and demonic possession. Notice demonic possession, right? They put emphasis on demonic, demon, devil, but they have yet to negate the fact that what if they're not even present? Jesus didn't do it. She's not Jesus, so it's the devil. That's kind of like the mindset that they were having. And this then became the conversation between the church and the scholars, and moving closer towards the scientific revolution, which happened in 1543. And through different scholars and just having different debates about different laws, because there were a lot of laws, not a lot, but there were some laws that were being passed about witchcraft and witches, trying to condemn them and just help the people. You know how politics are. You say witches are the problem, you try to say that you're creating a law to help fight against witchcraft and shame the devil, you have my vote. That's basically like what was happening. But the scholars, and one scholar in particular, Roger Bacon.
I'll tell you something. Bacon is good for me.
Just one of the many scholars who were speaking up on the understanding that I get that we went to church for all the mysteries of the world, and I get what you're saying, but you're saying, what if they're not present? What if these women just have a natural, innate ability to possess this healing ability, to have this alchemy, this transmutable energy? What if it doesn't have anything to do with the devil and you're just trying to say that? How can you take away from someone's natural God-given talent? This was the conversation, this was the argument for a while now. I mean, there was a law saying that witches committed 2 crimes. Well, a crime for making a pact with the devil and another crime for doing harmful magic. I really paid attention to the word choices that they use. Like, they put emphasis on demon, devil, harmful, magic, like possession. The link, these things do not coexist. Like, they can, but just like anything, 2 things can coexist. They couldn't have been able to tell me this, and I just be like, oh, yeah, witches. How can people believe this? People really was conditioned to believe this. I mean, y'all are still conditioned to believe this now, making a video. I have like a lack of understanding. A lot of ignorance out there in the world, but that's neither here or there. And so, understanding that the witch trials were a thing and the witch trials happened, let's talk about one of the most infamous witch trials that did happen. And if you do not know what the Salem witch trials were, it happened in Salem, Massachusetts. You can watch The Crucible, or if you may have read The Crucible. I've read The Crucible in high school. I also watched the play. I hate reading, but the play was beautiful. They even brought like a little like wolf dog outside at the end. It was so cute. Oh my God, I was living. But the founder, like Governor Mayor Samuel, right? So he was there. Mind you, Samuel had bought Tituba, who was like the star of the Salem witch trials. Mind you, in The Crucible, they tried to play Tituba like she wasn't the star, but she was. And I'm going to get into how she was the star. So he bought her when she was younger. And so when she became a teenager and he moved her, like he became, family father, Salem or whatever. There was like something strange going on, something odd going on. The girls, his daughter and his niece, Abigail and Betty, these girls were acting very strange. They had odd symptoms. The girls were known. Well, not known, but like, if you knew, you knew. But the girls were doing like fortune telling games and things of that nature. So one of the fortune telling games that they would do is not essentially like an egg wash that you would know that you might have seen on like TikTok or something. You rubbing the egg, blah 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 blah, crack it, blah blah. No, they use the egg as part of fortune telling. Old, ancient fortune telling. Oh, bye. You would take the egg, do the water, put it in the water, whatever, and you would then interpret whatever is coming through. So like one day, one of the girls, when they did theirs, they saw a coffin and that bitch got the barking. And they was kind of blinking. They was like, wait a minute, who that is barking? Abigail, is that you? Girl, I saw them dancing in the woods. If you watch The Crucible, you're going to get where I'm going with this story, okay? Follow me. So like, oh, Abigail over there barking and dancing in the woods, howling. I don't know what they got going on. Because they said that they was dancing in the woods, but the original story, them hoes was barking, and then at the end, that wolf spirit. Shade. If you can watch The Crucible, like the play, you should watch. Like I just put something together. But they was barking, and she was like, Abigail. I saw Abigail over there dancing in the woods. She acting strange. What's going on? And so the church goer or the church woman that was part of Salem, she was like, listen here, Tituba. Because Tituba, she a Negro slave, but like they knew that Tituba knew that hoodoo. Like Tituba knew how to get that funk on there, how to put that magic on. She was like, Tituba, can you do something? Can you make like your witch cake? Can you figure out who's trying to harm the girls? Because they trying to figure out, Samuel, why would people put a demon possession on the girls to try to punish you? Like, and even that was a red flag for me, because what did Samuel do to need to be punished that would warrant them to be possessed because he needs to be punished. Like, why is their family being punished? That's the first question I would have asked myself. So then Tituba's all like, well, I ain't got nothing to do with their fortune telling shenanigans going on, but I did try to help them. Like, I tried to like let them know, like, listen here, shop, that's not it. That's not how you do that. That's probably why that hoe was barking in the first place. So, you know, she made a witch cake, which was like rye meal, like cornmeal, but it's like rye. So it's like rye meal, and she is urine in it. So she makes the witch cake and she feeds it to the girls. Now Samuel found out that she had made a witch cake, fed it to his baby girl, and he was like, bitch, who this for? Oh, she ate it. Boop, 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 boop. So he's whooping her ass. He is beating and torturing Tituba. He's like, confess, little hoe, and say that it was witchcraft. And Tituba like, I don't know what you're talking about, master. And then he's like beating her and torturing her like weeks. No shame. She finally confessed and she's like, I'm a witch. It was me. We were all dancing in the double. There was a black rat and a red rat and a white rat. She was just making up stuff to save her life. Like, she was just trying to save herself. So she was like, yep, I'm a witch. They was doing it. Sarah Good and da 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 da. They witches too. They took the girls in there. The devil told me that that's what happened, and she was meant to do that to them to get to you. And so then that's when like the Salem witch trial started. But mind you, them people who got accused that first round, ain't nothing even happened to them. That's the gag. But that first round of people, ain't nothing happened. And Tituba went to jail, right? So Tituba was in jail for like 13, 14 months. And mind you, Samuel didn't even bail her out. Samuel did not pay her bail. She was sold to another man who paid her bail. Well, he paid her bail, like they sold her to him. And when they was doing the Salem witch trials or whatever, they was still using Tituba to snitch on the girls and be like, also who witches? And she was like, God said it was Megan Good. She was snitching on everybody, but she was just trying to save her face, honestly. And that's the truth of the Salem witch trials. Like, gag. Like, we thought that it was Abigail and them who was snitching, but it really was Tituba. Gag. But you see, it's like the reason why Tituba was not the main character, even though she was, and she was the one who was it's because she was a black woman during that time, during the 17th century. Women's suffrage didn't start until 1920, so women y'all still ain't got no voice. And let alone be a woman, let alone be black. Mind you, them people told her, prosecutors in the courtroom said, there's no way this Negro slave can be a witch, because witches are not colored people. You all are village healers. So that's why I'm just kind of blinking. So they didn't even believe or want to believe that Tituba was the one who was the witch and putting the spells and curses and possessing Betty and Abigail and stuff, because she was colored. So y'all didn't even believe that in the first place. But it's easy to pin stuff on a black. Let me tell you something. Nobody on this earth, and I know this for a fact, nobody can get revenge like a white woman. Nobody can get revenge like a white woman. But hell has no fury scorned like a black woman. And that's what I have to say. And that's what I'm going to leave you with, okay? So if you enjoyed this, I want you to know, like, comment, share, subscribe, and click that bell. You are all powerful, beautiful, and abundant people. I love you all. I shake.
My head make me gag, ho. Take it.
On my head when I shake, shake.